Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Allison's Corner. As always, I am your host, Allison. And of course, this is our little cozy corner of the internet for real talk, reflection, and evolving into the person that you're meant to be. And today's episode is more about that conversation. It is the season 6 finale, and this episode is a reflection, it is a declaration, and honestly, a bit of a love letter to the version of me and maybe you of what I've been learning in how to embrace softness, how to enforce boundaries, and definitely becoming her. So, this episode is for anyone who's had to choose themselves, even if it was uncomfortable, for anyone who's been made to feel like they're too sensitive, too quiet, too kind, and for anyone who's redefining what it means to be strong. So, go ahead and pour yourself something to drink, coffee, tea. I got myself a little glass of wine on the side. Go ahead, get cozy, settle in, and we're going to talk about the power of softness, the necessity of boundaries, and what it really means to become the woman that you feel like you were always meant to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with softness because that has been the word for me lately. And not just in an aesthetic type of way, like, cozy vibes and slow mornings, which I love and I definitely participate in. However, I mean real softness. The kind of softness that shows up when you speak, how you listen and how you're able to let other people in. And I'll be honest, for a very long time, I thought softness was a bit dangerous. And I thought being soft could get me hurt. That if I led with kindness and vulnerability, someone would take advantage of it. And while I know that is something that might happen, I was guarding myself from hurt, even if it didn't mean somebody taking advantage of me. So instead, I tried to be chill. I tried to be low maintenance, somebody who's easy to be around and quiet about what I needed, which I don't know if y'all know this. I am a bit of an introvert, but my close friends and family will tell you I talk a mile a minute. So, yeah. But underneath all of that, I honestly started to get very tired because I was tired of being the one who always understood other people and their needs. I was tired of being emotionally available to people who couldn't even be honest with themselves. And that is a whole other story. And I was tired of overanalyzing other people's behaviors and trying to decode the shift in energy like I was some type of private investigator or something. And I'll be honest, along the way, I had to pause and start to really, ask myself, is this love or is it me holding out hope that if I'm soft enough, kind enough, if I'm patient enough with this person or with this situation, that they'll finally show up the way that I deserve? And the answer to that sometimes, or most of the time, was no. And with that being my answer, that became my turning point because softness was never the problem. I now looking back believe that softness to actually be a superpower. But while it is a superpower, like all superpowers, it does have to be protected. And for me, because being soft doesn't mean that you let everyone have access to you. It means you move through the world rooted in who you are and you stop giving away sacred parts of yourself to people who only can offer you confusion. But while I'm still soft and I am cry. Well, I'm a crybaby, or I cry when anything happens. I do love deeply, and I root for other people as well. But I've had to learn the duality of things, right? If someone leaves me questioning my worth over and over and over again, it's a sign that it's just clear. Their behavior tells me everything I need to know. That doesn't mean that I become colder in my response and I shut down and let nobody in, but the sign is just as clear as day. And with that clarity, that is when my boundaries became more wrapped in the softness that I had begun to develop. So, part two, we're gonna get into boundaries. And I really want to say this: your boundaries are not walls, okay? Listen, if you are recovering people pleaser like me, please raise your hand, because you know how hard it is to say no and not feel guilty about it. And truth be told, I still will say no, and the guilt rushes through me, okay? Because I used to be really scared, and in some cases, I still am scared in disappointing people, especially the people that I really do love. And even if those same people who I was scared of disappointing were the ones that were disappointing me regularly, I, for instance, would be quick to reply to their texts. I'd be quick to excuse their behavior, especially when other people would point it out to me, and I just make excuses, for what they were going through or what was happening. I was super quick in over explaining the situation or what was happening with them or with me or the situation at hand, whatever. But what I had begun to realize is that I was burning myself out trying to be everything for certain people who weren't even showing up for me. So, now that I've gotten older and I've just realized that in life there are boundaries that are needed, I just started saying no. Just a complete sentence, no. And I did so without an explanation. I did so without apology. I just said no. And in saying no, I realized, it made me stronger in the person that I am and in who I want to be. But I had to move away from those same people who were making me anxious. I had to move away from people who, were just popping up when they were bored and not really wanting to actively engage in my life. And I had to really stop explaining my no to people, because before I would say no, but I felt like I always had to add an extra bit of substance so that they understood where I was coming from. And I've learned that in doing that, that didn't help the situation, because those same people that I was saying no to never explained to me their same disrespect. And I will admit, at first, it felt very lonely, like really lonely. But over time, it had begun to feel a bit freeing. And the reason why I say boundaries aren't walls is because I no longer look at boundaries as being the shield, right? That's trying to protect you or guard. It's trying to protect you, but it's not trying to, just let everyone in. I look at boundaries more so as being doors, and I am the one who gets to decide who has a key to opening those doors. And if you have been setting boundaries lately and you're wondering, girl, am I doing too much? I just want to be the first to tell you, no, you are not. You probably are just not used to honoring yourself in this way, and that is more than okay, because I too felt uncomfortable. And listen, just give yourself all the grace that you definitely deserve. The next thing that I kind of want to talk about is becoming her. And I know we keep on hearing this phrase all the time throughout social media, and I really want to hone in on who is she? Who is this woman that I've been becoming, or who is this woman or person that you are becoming? I really want to I just want to say this. I do not know everything, and I may look like I have it all together. Please believe I do not. And the person that I am becoming is realizing I'm not perfect. I still have my moments. I still overthink like crazy. Okay. I still get mad when someone ghosts me, or I wonder if I'm doing this whole healing journey thing right or wrong or whatever. But one thing that I've noticed, and especially the shift that's very much taken place in my 30s, is that I am done chasing clarity from people who have never had the courage to even be clear with me. I do not tolerate inconsistent energy. Once I see your words and your actions do not align, I'm out. Okay. I am not apologizing anymore for having needs. And I'm not waiting for someone else to see my worth before I claim it for myself. And so for me, what that means in this particular moment is in my journey in becoming her is leaving people on red who sometimes honestly don't even deserve a response, or truthfully they don't even deserve my phone number. It's taking breaks from social media when the noise of comparison starts to get too loud in my head, and it is being okay with not being liked by everyone. It's meant that I have had to grieve old versions of myself that used to beg and plead and settle and hope and wait for things to take place. And in this new season of my life, I am welcoming this version of me who walks into a room and knows what I bring as far as value is concerned. I do not need anyone else's stamp of approval. The only approval that I want in this life is of my own. And if that means disappointing some of the people that are closest to me in that, then so be it. And for any of you who are listening, you are becoming that person as well. If you've had to let go of what is not growing with you, you're becoming them or becoming that person. If you've, truth be told, seen that this season of your life is uncomfortable with where your growth is, you are becoming a new person. If you have chosen peace over performance, girl, you're becoming that new person. And that is the beautiful thing of life, is that in our evolution of who we are meant to be, there are some people that cannot go to the top with us. And I think the quicker we realize that, the more easier, not in letting people go, but in realizing who is really meant to be there for you and who is not meant to be there for you in that moment. Now, I quickly want to go over this next part, and it's something we've previously discussed on the podcast. My episode, The Art of Letting Go, go listen to it. It was a really good episode. I'm going to touch on that again right now because I think with this, we do need to talk about letting go of things, and not just of people, but again, of expectations or even timelines that were never really ours to begin with. There is a certain kind of grief that comes with letting go. Even when you know something isn't for you anymore, it still stings because you once held this thing in high regard and super close to you. And you hoped at one point in time that it would all work. And you truly believed that it was going to be part of your story. But the truth is, not everything that feels familiar is meant to be forever. And sometimes growth looks like releasing the thing that you prayed for because you've outgrown it. I have had to let go of friendships that no longer felt mutual. I've had to let go of narratives that told me I was way too much or I wasn't enough. I have also had to let go of my own timelines that said I had to have it all figured out by now. Letting go has felt like losing something at times, but every time I've released what wasn't aligned, I have been able to make space for something even better. And that something is what is supposed to be mine to begin with. And in this season, I've learned that the real glow up doesn't happen with aesthetics, but more so, it's about self trust. It's about knowing that when things fall apart, you're not going to fall apart. And it's about building a relationship with yourself that's rooted in truth and not in perfection. Because when you start to trust yourself, y'all, you stop second guessing every single decision. You don't need the group chat to come to a consensus so that you can move forward. You honestly stop asking permission to live your life out loud. Because the thing that comes with trusting yourself is what helps you walk away from something that almost feels right. And it is what helps you in learning how to say yes from something that is so deep within yourself that you know to be yours and to know when it is the right time. And all of this does not show up at once. Believe me, you begin to build it moment by moment, choice by choice, boundary by boundary, brick by brick. Okay. And once you learn how to have that self trust, that's when you stop outsourcing your worth to other people. Also, for me, what I'm learning in this time is prioritizing myself. And in this season, I'm focusing more on wholeness over hustle. This one has been long overdue for me to get, okay? And one that I honestly am still learning because for a really long time, I felt like, especially as a black woman, I had to earn my rest. That I needed to hit every single goal, I needed to prove every single point, and I just needed to check all the boxes before I could even breathe. But rest is not a reward. If wholeness is the actual goal, and not busyness, not performance, not productivity, then through me becoming her, becoming this woman that I really want to see self actualize, means that I am no longer addicted to proving my worth through doing things. I am learning to just slow down without the guilt. Sometimes I have to say to myself, even on a day like today, y'all, this is enough for today. We can handle the rest tomorrow and mean it and stick by it, because in those small moments, I am celebrating softness, I am celebrating stillness, I am celebrating slowness as something that is sacred to me. And in our society, we live in a culture that glorifies the grind 24/7, and they dismiss this quietness of just simply being. And I have found the most clarity, honestly, some of my deepest healing in having a strong sense of self in moments when I choose peace over the pressure. So if you needed a reminder today, I wanted to be the person to let you know your value isn't tied to your output, and you do not have to hustle in order to be whole. And before we go ahead and we wrap this thing up, I wanted to say something that's really important, because with this season ending, this is the version of you that is blooming, evolving, and becoming. And I want you to know this is only the beginning. So don't rush the process. Don't downplay your growth just because it doesn't look dramatic. Small shifts can create big changes. And every boundary that you hold, every honest conversation you have, every moment that you choose peace, you are building a life that honors who you truly are. So when you look back on this version of yourself months from now, years from now, hell, decades from now, okay, I want you to smile, and I want you to say, I did that. I did the hard thing. I kept showing up, and I did it with grace. Because you're not starting over, you are the one that is starting to get wiser. And in this next season of your life, it's already waiting for you. You are embracing more alignment, more clarity, more softness, and more power. So, with this being the season finale of season 6, I want you to take this episode with you into your next season of life. Whether that is just a new mindset, whether you are moving from one space to another, I want you to take this with you. And some of the questions that I want you to really reflect on as you are moving in this transition is, what have I let go of this year that made space for something better? Where do I need firmer boundaries to protect my peace? What version of me am I outgrowing, and who am I stepping into? And what does being her really look like for me? I want you to write those down. I want you to sit with it and don't rush it, because this is the work, but it is also the most beautiful part of it. And so, with that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up for me this season, sometimes when I could barely show up for myself, y'all. For listening to me ramble, for sharing your hearts with me. This podcast has grown. I have grown, and I am so proud of us. And as we close the season, I really want y'all to know this. You don't have to be louder to be heard. You don't have to be colder to protect yourself. And you don't need to chase what God has already ordained to be yours. You are allowed to be soft and strong. You are allowed to have boundaries and also be loving. And you are allowed to be healing and also be whole. So, we're going to take a little break. We will be back within the next month. Do not worry. I will see you back. Keep an eye out for when our season 7, oh my gosh, season 7 premiere will take place. And we're going to be back next season with even more, with more stories, more reflections, more truth. I'm really excited for what season 7 has in store for us. And yeah, I'm so excited, and I can't wait to take y'all along on this journey with me. But Of course, I have to end today's episode, especially our season 6 finale, with a quote by the beautiful Maya Angelou. She says, "If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be." As always, y'all, here at Allison's Corner, God bless. Have an amazing day. And thank y'all for listening to Allison's Corner.